How you going, guys? Just a bit of a quick update on what's happening with my trans rebuild. Well, for a start, I've got all my bits coming. I've ordered about, well, it's not $500 worth of stuff, but that's what it's costing me in New Zealand with freight. So I got about $500 worth of parts coming from Australia. My main rebuild kit with all the new clutches and plates and bands and seals and gaskets and all those other bits and pieces are on their way. I've got a new new front servo lever. They come in different ratios. The factory one in this was 2.9. They do go up to 5, and I think they do a 4.2 and a 3.8 and a 3.2. I was going to get a 3.8, a second-hand one, like a good second-hand one, but he didn't have any. In the end of the day, I'm not going to be doing a lot of drag racing and the money. I'm about, a good late 300, maybe 400 horse, thereabouts. That's what the motor should be on paper. And that's like run through Comp Cam's CamQuest, because I'm running a Comp Cam's cam in it. With all the compression ratios and what I've done to the heads and the valves and just a few basics and the intake manifold and carburation that I'm going to put on it. It should be around 400, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. Who knows? It all depends on your exhaust and all that sort of stuff. But so I've got an upgraded ratio lever here for the front band. I'm getting the 3.2. I was going to get the 3.8 as I said, but he didn't have a good second-hand one, and it was another $30 for a brand new one, but that meant I had to get either a 4.2 or a 5. And it's going to be mainly street use, so I didn't really want to go for super harsh shifting. I want to firm it up, so it's nice and slick, but hey, I'm not going to go do drag racing and trying to do 11-second quarters. Not the diff ratio that's in it. It's a 2.5 to 1 diff ratio at the moment. That's just what the ratio was that came in the 9-inch that I picked up years ago for, I think, $100 off a mate that was going to put it in another car. But anyway, so yeah, I haven't changed that ratio, and I've worked it out, and it's going to be a real good highway cruiser. So I'm going to run it for a start off, see how we go, and if I have any problems, I'll change it. So I've got the upgraded band lever for here. There's also another there's like a strut that goes in here between the lever and the band. The factory ones are not terribly thick, and apparently under more horsepower and a bit of pain, they tend to flex. So I've got an upgraded one of those, which is stronger. That's brand new. And the other thing in the back here that I'm replacing is this is what you call a sprag. If you've never been inside a Chrysler Trans, to be honest, I don't know whether they're in Chev Transes or Ford Transes or whatever. I'm assuming, but these with higher horsepower motors and heavy punishment, they do fail the sprag. I'll do a shot down through here instead. They have like a little zigzag flat spring with rollers in them. There's 12 of each. So what I've done is instead of you can buy a bolt-in one, which you push this black piece out, and then the bolts that hold the rear housing on, you can bolt one in, and it's a bit heavier duty, and they obviously a lot less, they're stronger and take more horsepower. But I've got new springs and rollers coming for that. It's a one-way sort of clutch setup, so it'll rotate one way but won't go the other, if you know what I mean. So yeah, instead of going with the 30 or 40-year-old springs that were in there, I'm replacing them for the sake of $20 for new springs and rollers. It's a wee bit more cheap insurance, because I'm assuming that's what's probably fails. One of those springs lets go, splits and cracks, and who knows, I'd rather put some new ones in there. Maybe if at some stage if I ever do some horsepower upgrades, I might buy the bolt and sprag, but that's $190 Australian at this point. So I've opted for new springs and rollers. So that's basically that. And also of the front clutch pack, which this plate here, this is the back one, but they're basically the same. I've got a new one of those because the other one was heavily grooved, and they're about 7mm thick. Or on this trans they are. So like to surface it, I was probably going to lose a good mil to get it right, and then also then your tensions mightn't be right for your springs and for the clutch pack. So I've got another one of those coming as well. So all up, yeah, about $500 worth here at my door. So it's not bad. Like, you know, considering if you had this at a trans shop here in New Zealand, like I don't know what it costs, you know, like in Australia or the States or the UK or wherever else, you know, you guys watch my videos, but here in New Zealand, probably a good basic rebuild like this is probably going to be the better half of 1,500, $2,000. Like my father's got a late model Mitsubishi, and he took the trans out himself because he's a qualified mechanic, but he took the trans into a place because a couple of times it had done something weird in reverse, like he went to drive it in reverse and it just, you know, took about 2 minutes and then it engaged. So he took the trans in, got them to strip it, insert and go through it and check it, make sure there wasn't anything wrong. There was nothing wrong with it. Basically all it needed was just a good flush out, new filter and fluid, because the car, I think, I don't know, about 130, 140,000 Ks. So basically just needed a good service, and it cost them $1,000. And they basically didn't replace anything apart from the filter and the oil. So, you know, geez. So, like, and he took it out himself and put it back in himself. So, like, if it's $1,000 to do that, you know, what does it cost for a rebuild like I'm doing, you know, with $500 worth of bits? So, you know, these are $1,500 to $2,000. No worries. So, if I can read this, you know, I'm rebuilding this for about $400 or about $500. You know, like that's, so, you know, it's a good trans. So, yeah, that's that. And the next thing I'm going to attempt this afternoon is, actually I'll grab this while I'm here. As I've shown in an earlier video, at some stage this has had the guards pumped out to put wider tyres in the back, because there's sort of a half wheel arch in the back. They haven't got a lot of clearance. Like they're a full wheel arch in the front, but these back ones are lower. The model before this, which was basically the same mid-body shell, this is a 67 Valiant, Australian assembled. Yeah, the earlier model had a full wheel arch in the back, so they didn't have so much guard clearance problems. You know, if you wanted to put, you know, mags and fatter tyres and all that sort of stuff. But what I have done, this is a 9-inch diff. Now this is 80mm shorter side than the standard diff that's meant to be in here. So these tyres, that's why these are sitting in quite a wee way. You sort of think, oh, you know, you haven't got much guard clearance problems there, but yeah, this is 80mm shorter side in stock, and also the springs have been moved in closer to the chassis rail by 20mm, so that gives me quite a bit more. You know, like I can run a deeper offset wheel, and it gives me a little bit more clearance. You know, I can run a slightly wider tyre, but I want to try and push this guard back in so it's nice and flat again instead of having this big hump in it. So it looks, you know, so it looks nice. Sort of looks a bit doggy at the moment. Like, I'll give you a bit of a rear-end shot for that. You can see the hump in it in the video. Now, if I hold this piece of wood up, which I've been bugging around with, getting ready to push this guard in, well, I hold this on the high spot here. Oh, where are we? Sorry about the camera shaking around there. If I hold that on the high spot, you can see these are good. Oh, what we say, 1 inch, 25mm, maybe more. That's how much that guard's been pushed out by somebody. Well, probably what they've done with when they've had the wide tyres on there, they've put a like a hunk of, like an old baseball bat or a piece of steel pipe or something in there, and then run it round against the tyre and force this guard out. Like it's very flat in here and behind. Like it's two skins, and then there's a reinforcing bar in there. So the guard's probably only about that thick in there. So I'm going to try and push this back in with this bit of wood. And I've got 3 pieces of wood here for a bit of strength. And I've got a hole in that to put what I'm going to do. So instead of, I haven't got a porta pair, so I borrowed a 20-ton bottle jack from work for jacking up trucks. Now if I lie this on its side like that, I think it is, one of these ways, yeah, it still works, it still pumps out. So I'm going to use the brick door frame of the garage door and roll the car out. And I may need to put something between the other side of the garage door and maybe the wheel, stop the car from sort of pushing across. It'll push across a bit anyway. So I'm hopefully, I'm going to get that in there with the 2 bits, of thick wood, another piece to hold the jack, so it won't slip around, and slowly push that guard in and just keep creeping it in and creep it in and creep it in, and then I'll do a little bit and let it off and do a little bit and let it off, and then hopefully I can get that back so it's pretty flat. It's probably going to ripple the guard a little bit, but it's bloody rippled anyway. So, and then depending on how well it comes out at some stage in the next few weeks, I might have to get in there with a and do a wee bit of heat shrinking to try and take the worst of the humps and hollows out if it's too bad. Otherwise, if it's not real bad, I'll fill it, but we'll see how it comes out, see how high the humps and hollows are. But yeah, if I can get that back in so it looks nice, I'd rather have it nice and flat with the rest of the side of the car than this inch friggin' speed bump on it. I'd rather get it back to sort of stock, and that's the next project. So, but I've actually got to go back. I'm going to go shoot into town and pick up the front clutch pack housing and the rear housing that the bands go around. I've had them in with my brother. He's an engineer, and he's thrown them in the lathe and spun them up, and just clean the surfaces with emery cloth, so they're nice and fresh, ready to take the new bands. Because that's a real good recommendation that the guy that I've looked at his videos on YouTube, and I've also got a real good book on rebuilding these transers. That's one thing they do recommend, clean those surfaces up. It's like cleaning up like, your flywheel and you put a new clutch in or something like that. Just make sure everything's nice and clean and ready to take up really nicely. So I've had that done. So I've got to shoot into town shortly and pick those up. So that's what I'm doing there. Hopefully early next week I'll have all my bits and I'll start putting this back together, and I'll do a couple of videos. I'll try to do a couple of videos as I'm putting it back together. Just give you a bit of an idea of what's going on. And I'll do a bit of a video too of when I push the guards in too. I'll try doing something there, and I'll either add on to the video or I'll put up as a separate video pushing the guards back in, and let you sort of show how things go. Hopefully it goes good, and when I put the video up, it's a success, not a disaster. But we'll go from there. Alrighty, we'll catch you later, and we'll see you soon.